I'd like to reveal the myth that at any time you can be separated from yourself. It is like being separated from your existence. Now, in the experience of the doer, which occurs when the distraction arises based on latching on to conditioned desires and fears, the computer, the program. Then there is an ever oscillating experience of opening and closing. And in what is called closing, there is the story and the experience of being disconnected from yourself. So let's take the example, say, of feeling energy moving through and experiencing the perceptive experience of being numb. Or the experience of pain. And based on the experience from the point of reference that occurs when the doer is born, is that this experience is separating me from myself. That I cannot access the love because I am feeling shut down, numbed over. But what is discovered potentially is that the nature of the self is the nature of your existence. It cannot go anywhere. It is in no relationship with anything that is appearing to change. Thus, when there is the experience, I am shut down, which is ever-changing phenomena based on the karmic cycling of the program, and it is in the closing phase, and the story is I cannot feel the self. It is not that there is a blockage, that is the story. All that is happening is that the attention is being swept, which could not be experienced if you did not exist. What begins to arise and become clearly recognized is that whatever is playing in the phenomenal play, it has never been in relationship with yourself. It is incapable of blocking anything. The only thing it can do is sweep the attention, and often it will sweep the attention in a story that this is creating a blockage, and I must break through it in order to feel myself. But the whole thing is a mirage. With time and patience and steadfastness, there begins to be the felt recognition, the realization that the self, yourself, the heart, the nature of pure love that is eternal, has no intersecting point with an appearing dream that can only appear when distraction occurs. And the particulars of the distraction are irrelevant. The mind says it is very relevant. But the mind is just part of the mirage. Maybe the mind says, I cannot feel the beauty. I am lost. But all of that is just the down end of the oscillations that arise when attention has been swept into this three-dimensional, five-sensory movie defined by a past, defining a story of someone that can never be found. And then the someone feels blocked, but you cannot find the someone. When you look to find the someone, you find yourself, because yourself always is. Nothing can block it. Nothing is in relationship with it. Everything that is in addition is just a dream that draws attention. There begins to be the seeing. It is not about the myth character breaking through something. It is only that the attention has been swept. If the attention is swept and locked into what has forgotten, it lies in receiving the teaching, because there is a teaching that is waiting to happen. The receiving of the teaching happens in surrender to what is being offered. When the attempt to get away from the offering relaxes, immediately there is the return of the taste of yourself, because in relaxation, the distractive habit cannot survive. There begins to be a recognition that everything that is changing has nothing to do with the changeless nature, the purity of yourself. It is not about changing something different in the play that is changing. It is simply about the recognition that this is nothing more than the egoic habit of distraction. There can be a story, I am so shut down, I am so lost, I cannot feel anything but the walls, and none of it is real. It is just a distractive, repetitive, phenomenal appearance that is in no relationship whatsoever with your existence, your heart. It is nothing more than a reminder of forgetting, nothing ever more than that. And the opportunity is the same always. It's now. For now is reality. It is the taste when the habit of forgetting relaxes and reality shines. Saying that the phenomena blocks me from myself is like saying that it prevents now. It's always now. How can it not ever be now? Either the attention is swept into the mirage, or it is not. If it is swept into the mirage, it is simply a reminder of forgetting. It arises out of the birth of the doer, which is a phantom that appears when there is pulling away from what is, based on habitual tendencies, conditioned programming of what is called my desires and my fears. Eventually, what is going on in the mind and body, when there is a rooting that is deep enough, becomes completely and totally secondary. As the rooting continues to deepen, it begins to become completely and totally irrelevant. There can be this simultaneous receiving of the beauty that is untouched, the happiness that is untouched, the luminous nature that is untouched, and this overlay that becomes like a cartoon of someone who thinks he is shut down and miserable. But the whole thing is seen through like nothing, affecting nothing, disturbing nothing, just appearance. Appearance that is unraveling, that is being absorbed back from where it came, which is exactly what happens when it is not fed by this me story. And then what remains? What remains is what always is, what always has been. What is felt now in the eternal flavor of the unchanging self. And the karmic play will offer every possibility to seduce the attention, because it is not possible to be free if there is not freedom in the face of all of the conditioned habitual tendencies. In the fantasy of me, the body is everything. But if you look to see what is it that the body is affecting besides the story of me, it is never possible to find anything. But what is found is the only thing that does not disappear upon investigation. Vigilance is the intention to not be distracted. And when the distraction does occur, to use it as a self-reminder, to keep it completely simple. To realize that the sum total of the life is just about this. The particulars feed the habit. The experience of doership is the force that deconditions and sets you free. The grace of self-reminding. Particulars cease to be particulars. It all becomes this one dynamic. Whether distraction is playing the offering of self-reminding that it is, or whether I am resting in the nature that always is. If it is more complex than this, there is simply burning yet to burn. Every single time awareness contracts into the reference point, it is set up as a self-reminder. And then only the love shines forth. when life becomes so simple, it becomes so beautiful. It is the appearance of the complexities. The only thing that creates the misery. Every second, either there is the taste of reality, or there is God's offering of self-reminding that forgetting has occurred. When there is nothing left but this, then you're ready. Everything that memory has to offer if the primary focus of attention is not on the feeling of now, it perpetuates this subtle thing that keeps a habit alive. It is all so simple, the sensitivity just becomes greater. It is not a greater challenge when life becomes so simple. It is so far less of a challenge because all of the involvement with all of the complexity falls away. And it is simply about whether or not there is forgetting, or whether you are resting in yourself, which has never known an issue. It does not have the liberty to go into the complexities of a story which create the experience of the maze, which is in fact what creates all of the challenge. As opposed to it taking much more, it becomes so much easier.
I just had a really beautiful dream last night, and I wouldn't voice it, but in satsang, but it just was so beautiful. I just wanted to share it.
Can people hear her? If you can speak a little louder.
Yeah.
Maybe if we can turn this just a little bit there.
I was in, it was like a tropical rainforest, and I was in water up to about my chest. And it was really beautiful. It was like something out of that movie Avatar, like just really magical. And what appeared in front of me was this blue goddess. Excuse me. And she was just rippling with power and love and vibrancy, a little intimidating, but also just so alive. And it seemed that I was her attendant. And she asked me to go down to the bottom of the water and get some clay to put in her hair to smooth, like a beauty ritual. And so I went and I submerged myself under the water, but the minute I did, the water turned to mud. Everything was the mud, and I came out, it was in my nose and my eyes, and I said, I got it, but I can't get it off. I'm just completely stuck. And so she turned to me and she said, she communicated, watch. And she came down into the water with me, face to face. And the minute we went down into the water was clear. The mud cleared. And she showed me how to just take what you need from the earth and come back out without being touched. And just her face is just vibrating in front of my mind's eye and my heart, so big today. And I just felt the movement to share that.
This is a dream that is not a dream.
I felt like she came to, it was such a blessing.
Yes. Waking out of the dream did not end the visitation. The visitation began by using the nighttime dream, but it remains. She is alive as your own reflection. Seeing that there is no mud. So long as your eyes are gazing directly into the Holy Mother, there cannot be mud to be found, because it is all a fabrication that can only appear when your attention has been pulled away from the caretaker of everything.
And there's just this like so tired of feeling in a straitjacket. There's the feeling of the containment, like there's just like you know?
The straitjacket is the character's dream. The visitation came to show that there is no mud, just like there is no straitjacket. The taste of eternity, the taste of pure love and illumination is not in a straitjacket. The straitjacket is an aspect of the morphing dream of karma. Holy Mother does not experience a straitjacket. It is not about the sensory feelings of what is called a straitjacket being any different. It is about realizing that that sensory experience has nothing to do with the feeling of love that is the eternal nature. It is just phenomena. Cannot find what it is affecting aside from a story of someone. How does it feel now?
Open.
Open.
Like I'm touching everything.
Like you're touching everything. Like the mud has vanished because in reality there is no mud. No matter how intense it may seem at times, it does not make any of it real. Anytime there is the subtlest form of disturbance, it is not about understanding, it is not about transforming, it is not about changing, it is about the recognition of forgetting.
The mind makes it so complicated.
The mind makes everything complicated. Whatever is complicated is in the mind. The mind is a phantom. It is programmed by what is called karma, which does not exist now, but weaves its intricacies, and it will go on forever having something to fix. When this life becomes so simple, when it becomes nothing more than receiving the beauty or receiving the self-reminding of forgetting, what is recognized is there has never been anything that has ever been broken. What is recognized is there is no such thing as the past. There never has been. When life becomes this simple, relationship with the story of past is released. How can a problem exist when relationship with a past is freed? It cannot. Why? Because it is all made up. The sophistication of the mind is not limited to thought, but uses the whole perceptive panorama. But it is thought that weaves all of the other perceptive experiences. It's the glue. That is nothing more than a program that appears only when there has been pulled away from yourself. The intention to remain with yourself. When there is being pulled from yourself, the contraction, the experience of a doer is God's offering of the self-reminder, and it is all you ever need. Whether the story is that the body is in a straitjacket, you are covered in mud and you cannot see, doesn't matter what the story is. The particulars are irrelevant. What is of total relevance is the grace of the reminding, when the reminding is all that matters. And on all of the intricacies that seem so important, you are released from. To keep it utterly simple. Such an irony that what the mind says is so difficult is actually so easy. When it is no longer about the complexities, when it is simply about remembering and forgetting. The whole story of all of the intensity in the work and the struggle, recognized to just be part of the mirage. The recognition of what is, feeling what is. And when the experience of the separate doer returns, simple recognition just forgotten. Receiving it as the grace that it is, the offering from God that it is, the gentle reorienting that it is, creating a life so utterly simple. Thank you all for satsang.